Do you sometimes feel like you can't get ahead, no matter how hard you try? What if the way you think is the key to getting everything you want instead of skill or luck? The great samurai Miyamoto Musashi knew that having a growth attitude was the key to getting better at anything. This video will show you how having this attitude can help you reach your full potential and become an unstoppable success. Reason 1. Your brain gets stronger with practice, like a muscle. A big myth that many people hold is that ability is fixed. Either you have it or you don't. The brain is really like a muscle, though. You can make it stronger by challenging it more. That's when you stop telling yourself, "I can't do this." Instead, you say, "I can't do this yet, but with practice, I will." Miyamoto Musashi trained hard all the time, not because he was naturally the best, but because he thought he could always get better. He fought more than 60 duels, and each one helped him get better for the next one. It was not just a fight against another person. He knew that every sword swing was also good for his mind and body. Modern science backs this up. Neuroplasticity tells us that our brains change the way they work based on what we do. When you push yourself, your brain truly makes new connections that make you stronger than before. Learning new things and doing them over and over again makes your mind stronger, just like pulling weights does. When you're going through something hard, know that it's not a sign of weakness, but a chance to get stronger. It's like going to the gym for your brain. A task. Combat wasn't just a way for Musashi to stay alive. It was also a way to improve his attitude. You can do the same thing. Look at every problem as a weight that helps you build mental strength. Reason 2. Yet is your new favorite word. A small word like yet has a lot of power. People with a fixed attitude tell themselves, "I can't do this," when they fail. A person with a growth attitude, on the other hand, adds one word, yet. This is something I can't do yet. That one word keeps the way to success clear. Musashi lived by the idea of yet. He didn't think he'd be master right away. In the Book of 5 Rings, he wrote, "Walk the 1,000-mile road step by step." He knew that growth is a process, not something that happens right away. Every mistake he made was only temporary, and each flaw showed him something he still needed to work on. By using the word, yet, you free yourself from the need to be perfect. You don't feel bad about being in the middle of the trip. You know that just because you can't do something right now doesn't mean you'll never be able to do it. It just means you are still learning. Picture how powerful this way of thinking would be in real life. You are still learning how to speak a new language. You still don't know how to make your business bigger. You still don't know how to control yourself. You keep your future in mind every time you add that word. Musashi thought of each fight as practice for the next one. The reason he won wasn't because he was perfect, but because he chose to get better over time. Every failure is not the end. It is a step on the 1,000-mile road to success. That's why you should always carry the word, yet. Reason 3. You start collecting lessons, not just trophies. People with a fixed mindset often don't see the worth in growing and are afraid of failing, which makes them focus on what other people think of them. With a growth mindset, on the other hand, you see every event as a lesson that you can use to get better in the future. As a martial artist, Miyamoto Musashi deeply knew this idea. He looked for challenges to grow rather than fame. He thought that the point of martial arts wasn't to win medals, but to learn through focused practice and thought. When you think this way, every problem, mistake, or setback becomes a treasure instead of a danger. Instead of feeling like they failed, people should think about what they learned and how they can do things better next time. Each lesson you collect makes you smarter, stronger, and more resilient. Over time, they build up into a huge personal library of knowledge. Learning lessons also changes how you live your life. You start to look for chances to grow instead of ways to avoid taking risks. Problems that used to be scary now feel like chances to learn, and people are urged to be curious. When you learn something new, you get better at the next task and can't be stopped. Having a growth attitude changes not only how well you do, but also your whole journey. Trophies only last for a short time, but lessons become a permanent part of your personality, skills, and way of thinking. Every experience is important and a chance to grow if you focus on learning rather than getting trophies. Reason 4. Other people's success becomes a source of ideas, not envy. When we see someone else getting what they want, we naturally feel envious. People with a fixed mindset think that our own success is less important than theirs. We judge, compare, or feel beaten. But having a growth attitude changes this whole way of thinking. When someone else achieves something, you don't see it as a danger, you see it as a way to get there. Instead of making them angry, their win becomes an inspiration and a chance to learn. Miyamoto Musashi lived his whole life by this rule. Rather than competing with the best swordsmen out of spite, he went after them to study and learn from their moves. He learned something from every battle and every fight with a skilled opponent. You must understand that there is more than one path to the top, he wrote in the Book of Five Rings. People who were smarter than Musashi didn't scare him, he admired them. He saw their skills as chances to make his own plans and methods better. When you think this way, you stop wasting time and energy on comparisons that don't help. Instead, you take time to be curious and grow. Ask yourself, what can I learn from how they did well? How did they go about solving the problem? How did they plan their trip that I can use on my own? When you see other people as teachers instead of threats, your mental energy changes from negativity to strength. This way of doing things also motivates people to work together and come up with new ideas. When you celebrate other people's successes and try to figure out how they did it, your mind is more open to new ideas. You start to notice patterns, habits, and ways of doing things that you can try out in your own life. Every success you see around you is like a puzzle piece that you can study and use. With a growth attitude, the world stops being a battleground of competition and starts being a classroom full of endless possibilities. You stop being limited by what other people have done and start broadening your view of what is possible. Now that there is no limit to success, there is plenty of it because everyone can learn something from someone else's journey. Musashi's life shows that you can become wise by watching, learning, and changing. He never admired the skills of his opponents. Instead, he took them in. These wins helped him understand things better and turn into a master who was unbeatable not by luck but by always learning and growing. When you think about things this way, you train yourself to see every success as a step forward instead of a problem. Inspiration comes in its place, and envy goes away. You can learn from everything, and every success is a chance to grow, improve, and learn more. This is what the growth mindset teaches. Reason 5. You see tricky problems as fun puzzles for your brain. Most people feel worry, fear, and avoidance when they have to deal with a tough problem. Because they are set in their ways, they think, this is too hard. I'm not smart enough. I'll never figure it out. A growth attitude, on the other hand, changes everything. It turns any hard problem into a puzzle, a challenge that gets the mind working, makes you curious, and opens the door to creative answers. This was how Miyamoto Musashi lived his whole life. He didn't just see his duels as fights for life or death. He saw them as chances to test his strategy, become more aware, and try out new moves. In every fight, I had to figure out how my opponent would move. What is his weak point? How does the beat of his attack sound? Even when things were very dangerous, Musashi's mind kept calm, alert, and flexible because he faced challenges with interest instead of fear. You can use this same way of thinking to deal with everyday problems. Picture a trouble spot at work, school, or in your daily life. Don't freak out or avoid it. Instead, ask yourself, what is the puzzle here? How can I try new things, test what I learn? This changes the way you see things. Problems become chances to use your intelligence and imagination, and stress changes into excitement. Seeing problems as puzzles also helps you be patient and keep going. Puzzles can't be answered right away. You have to look around, try things out, and sometimes fail. Every try gives you feedback, and every loss teaches you something new. If you have a growth attitude, you learn to welcome this change instead of being afraid of it. Every time you try to solve a problem, no matter how small, you get better at it, just like Musashi got better at using his sword. Also, thinking of problems as puzzles makes you curious, which is a great way to learn. Your brain starts to look for patterns, try ideas, and change the way it does things. You change how you think about problems from being reacting to being proactive. Problems that used to scare you now feel interesting and even fun because your mind is actively looking at the possibilities instead of running away from them. Musashi's wise words tell us that the best way to become a master is not to avoid problems, but to see them as chances to grow. As you solve puzzles, your brain learns to think critically, plan ahead, and keep going even when things get tough. Your brain gets stronger, more flexible, and more creative over time, making it ready to take on even bigger problems. When you think of hard problems as fun puzzles, you stop seeing them as threats and start seeing them as chances to get better. It's less about avoiding trouble and more about making your mind stronger, just like Musashi did with his sword and tactics in every duel. Reason 6. Your potential is a seed you water, not a preset limit. You can always improve yourself. This is one of the most important truths of a growth attitude. It's a seed. It grows like any other seed, but only if you take care of it. It can grow into something much bigger than you ever thought possible if you work at it, take care of it, and keep at it. Musashi started out as a boy who wasn't important, rich, or privileged in any way. But he watered his seed every day by working out, being disciplined, and always being interested. Over time, that seed grew into a fighter who never lost, a strategist whose insights are still studied today, and a master who showed that fate is not something you are born with but something you make. When you think you can't do something, you stop growing. You put money into yourself every day when you think it's a seed. You work on it even when it's tough. Even though progress seems slow, you keep going. You believe that little efforts add up to big results. Picture your life as a garden. In what do you put seeds? Do you water them with hope, practice, and patience? Or are your lack of attention and worry starving them? Musashi tells us that the only way to become a master is to keep practicing. Today is victory over the bad things you did yesterday. Tomorrow is victory over greater men. Watering your seed every day until it grows into a great thing is what growth is all about. When you think this way, success is not a goal, it's a way of life. You understand that the only limit you have is the one you set for yourself. And once you get rid of that limit, you find that you can do anything.